Hey folks, it's Keith, Victor Echo 3 Sierra Victor Quebec, otherwise known as the Shaky Key. Back with a little different video again today, and this is part 2 of Pota, or Parks on the Air for Seniors. And for those of you watching it who may watch quite a few of my other videos and so on, keep this one in mind. Who do you know who is a senior, retired, maybe living somewhere in an apartment? Maybe they've been a very avid ham radio operator and given it up, got bored like a lot of us did over the years. Maybe they're in a position where they're at home, they have their equipment, they're not using it, but they're not really mobile enough to get out. So this one is really aimed at that. The seniors who possibly could do Parks on the Air or Pota. Many of them, if they let the hobby lapse, maybe prior to 2016, and now of course they're retired and so on, they may not even know that Parks on the Air or Pota exists. So for those of you out there who are ham radio operators, or if you're just someone who maybe happened to stumble across this video, if you know someone who is, this is something that maybe will help them. One of the biggest fears as you age and as you become a senior, get this white hair on top, or in some cases none on top, one of your biggest fears is going to be the isolation. All of a sudden, friends aren't calling, you're not going out, you lose contact. It's just one of those things that happens when you age. But this program, Pota, Parks on the Air, is a great way to overcome some of that isolation, to keep you active. So like I say, if you know someone was a ham, maybe not doing anything now, keep this one in mind. Maybe suggest that they go check it out. So when you do Pota, especially as a senior, limited budget and all that stuff, number one rule, the old KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. Don't go spending a lot of money. For one thing, you probably won't have a lot of money, but you don't need to spend a lot of money. If you have an old radio sitting in your basement or in a big bin like a lot of us do, doesn't matter how old that radio is. I mean, sometimes when I'm doing Pota and I'm sitting at my desk here, I often wish I had my old HW101 sitting here that I could use and play with and have fun with. There's something about the glow of all of those tubes. So the type of radio you use really doesn't matter. How old the radio is, doesn't matter. What type of gadgets and doodads have they added to your radio? That doesn't matter either. Keep it simple. If you are still living at home, and this particular one, we'll assume you probably are, or if you are in a building or maybe a retirement community, you still have access to an antenna or the ability to put one up. So use your basic equipment. If you need a new antenna, I look out in my backyard. What's my best antenna? A simple wire one, right? Halfway 40 meter end fed. Didn't cost me very much. You don't need that tower, right? You simply don't. Now, yes, when we all got into radio, if you're my age, when we got into radio, boy, everybody wanted that 50, 60, 70-foot gigantic tower in their backyard. And yeah, at one point I had a 60-foot one. Was it necessary? No. A simple wire antenna will do the trick for you. If you are maybe in an apartment building, maybe you can get yourself a balcony antenna. They do exist. But for the vast majority of us, if you're still living at home, in a house, you can probably run a simple wire antenna out. And again, it's not going to cost you a lot of money. You may even have what you need. Speaker wire, makes a great antenna. If you don't have one and you don't have the ability or the interest in making one, talk to your local ham club. I'm pretty sure you'll find someone there who's willing to help you get one and probably help you to string it up. So that's extremely important. Now, once you've got your antenna up, of course, you have lots of options. You can do single sideband. You can do your CW or Morse code. You can play with QRP. You can hunt parks many different ways. So that's something for you to think about. When you are doing your logging, do you need a fancy computer program to do that? Maybe you don't have a computer. Well, guess what? You can use a very simple paper log. When I started, there was no such thing as computer logging. Everything was done on paper, actually required legally back then to log all of your contacts exactly the same way as you would do now on a computer. Pretty simple. All right, so you've got the basics information. Many of you have the basic equipment and what you need at home. Now, interesting thing with Pota, and I'll show you this in a little bit. In Pota, you, the hunter, because there's two categories, right? There's the activator who's sitting out in a park calling CQ Pota or sending CQ Pota if he's doing it in CW. And there's you, the hunter, the one looking for the people in the parks. One of the beauties of Pota, especially if you're a senior, it's the guys in the park who must log and post their contacts. So even if you don't have that ability, you don't have a logging program, Pota does it for you. So here's a good picture, if you want, of what it looks like. So if you look at this particular screenshot right now, what you have on the left is the date the contact was made. You're going to have the other person who was there, who was making that contact with you. It's got the park number, it's got the time, all the basic information that you need. And Pota doesn't require an RST. So if you don't have a computer, Pota by itself will give you the rewards you need. They come automatically to you. You don't even have to apply to them. So if you're a senior sitting at home, this is a very nice bonus surprise. But yes, everything is logged. All those park activators will log you in. So to give a quick summary, if you're a senior at home in an apartment building, there's definitely ways for you to get out. If you are the member of a ham radio club, stop and think about those seniors, maybe some of the ones who used to be a member and now you no longer hear from. Is there something you can do? Is there something your club can do to get some of these seniors active? And maybe even take some of them to a park, because that by itself would be a very interesting activity for many of them. So if you are in a ham radio club, think about it. How can you help a senior sitting there in isolation to get back involved not only in ham radio, but to get them active, to get them doing things? It's not hard. It's not hard to do. For the seniors, everything you do with Pota, if you're a hunter, it's done. All you need that help with your radio, you need that help with your antenna. You need someone to get interested in helping you out. Here's hoping it happens, and here's hoping that those out there who are already active amateurs can think of someone that they can help as well. It's Keith, VE3SVQ, the Shaky Key. Wishing you all a great day. 73.